We are friends. Welcome, Warrior Sages. Welcome, Warrior Sage family. I'm here with my good friend, colleague. You even have been a beautiful inspiration and mentor of mine as well. This is Harrison Klein. So, Harrison, you are so multi-spectrumed in your capacities to try to nail you down in one area, but I'll aim to. You're a brilliant man of wisdom, brilliant man of humor and knowledge, of higher perception. You've got an amazing story I'd love you to share about today. And you've been helping and guiding entrepreneurs expand their businesses, and you help people tap into abundance and wealth. I could go on, and we're also colleagues in a project, uh, Excelsior, where we're working with the next generation of brilliant young people who are here to usher the world into a whole new dimension. So thanks for being here. I really appreciate you, and thanks everyone for being here. Harrison Klein, tell us a little about who you are.
Well, before I do that, Satyen, I want to thank you for having me because I just want to say one thing about you and what you do at Warrior Sage and all of my interactions with you. I got to tell you that you are one of my favorite people on the entire planet. I love what you do. I love who you are. I love what you stand for. And, every time I even think of you, and I'm deeply connected to you in a feeling sense, and every time I even think of you, my whole body gets warm in a great way. And I enjoy everything that I see on your Facebook pages and everything that I've ever seen you do. I'm just a constant, humongous fan of yours in every way, shape, and form. And I'm so privileged and honored to be part of anything that you do at any time. I just love you, man. So my heart is always beating on your behalf there. So
Thank you. And
you're a sweet, sweet, sweet man and a brilliant guy in every way. And I can't tell you how incredibly honored and loved I feel about you and love I feel about you. So it's all great. So we'll start there. All right. So, so let's see, what about me? So, you know, part of my life is that I want to create a new form of humanity in a way. I want to change the world. I want to be like Steve Jobs. I want to be one of the crazy ones that changes the world. And those are the ones who can, right? The ones who think they can are the ones who do. So I want to be among those people who are in the process of creating a new vision for humanity, and especially during this time of COVID and all the disruptions that most people are feeling in their day-to-day processes, in their social relationships, in their life expectancies. And I think that we are in need of a new vision for humanity. Solomon from the Bible said, without vision, the people perish. And I think part of what's going on is that the old vision is dying, if not already dead. So humanity is experiencing a change. There's no question about that. And everybody talks about what their kind of perception of the change happens to be. And, what I believe is going on is very different than the experience that I hear from a lot of people when we talk about these things. But, I believe that the world has been dominated for the last 7,000 years, and in terms of greed and anger and accumulating toys and about thinking small and being kept in a place to think small and we've been disassociated from so many different things. And in the spiritual hero's journey, which I'm about, basically, in the hero's journey, we have to go through particular kinds of adversity in order to flower again. First, we have to go down to the adversity. We converge to a point of focus where we become competent in something, and then we open up and flower into something bigger and better. And the world then gives us all the things that we've desired and wanted and asked for. For the last 7,000 years, we've been dominated by a male idea of the deity or a source. And, but I think now the female energy is emerging. It's all on a pendulum. Prior to this last 7,000 years, all of humanity worshiped the female fertility and all worshiped the feminine nurturing of the planet and Gaia and all the things that are major. And now I think we're moving back into that. Only on the backswing, we're starting to become androgynous in a different kind of way. So it was heavily male, heavily female, then heavily male, and now we're moving back into sort of an androgynous mixture. And it's a very great blessing as we move into the age of Aquarius. So I have a vision of the future, and you know, I have a vision. You know, I want to stop living in the world of aggression. I want to start living in the world of nurturing. I want to use the feminine energy to enlighten and heighten and grow, you know, all of humanity in a way that is creative, that is unique, that is a revolution in consciousness and a revolution in values. And I know that you're doing that work. I know that so many people are doing that work, and that it is the kind of the leadership of these ideas that make all the difference in the future of where we go. So I want to make 2021, I want to make life cool again. You know, Trump wants to make America, you know, great again. I want to make life cool again.
I love that.
So, so you know, all great artists understand that they have to destroy something in order to make something happen. They have to condense or deconstruct something in order to make something new. I don't want to change. I don't want to tweak what's been going on that's good, because that's been the last 7,000 years. I want to create something totally new. And I think a totally new kind of consciousness is what is where I think we're going past this process. And so, you know, I don't want to be like everyone else. I don't want to be in a Me Too world. You know, that's beyond what I feel comfortable with or what I feel good about. I want to be in a world of uniqueness for every single human being on the planet. I don't want to be about how many toys I have, or what my greed is about, or who I can dominate, because the hero in this society is who kicks the most amount of butt, right?
Yes.
That's the hero. So I want to change that paradigm. I want to step on into a new journey, a new game, and you know, we need a revolution in values. We need a revolution in consciousness in order to make great things happen on this planet. And we are not only totally capable of it, but that, I think, is our purpose. So we're part of that situation. So I'll let you talk.
Well, what you shared was just so powerful. First of all, you know, the flushing out of that we're moving away from a patriarchal dimension and momentum.
Yeah.
This very unique time is allowing us to dive deep into introspection, awareness of the earth plane, awareness of Gaia, awareness of all that's going on, and gives us the opportunity to pause. And of course, there's challenges in any type of transformation. There has to be perturbation, energy that enters the system that shakes it up so that the system can be shaken up to form around a new higher level of consciousness, order,
Right.
awareness, and structure architecture. What I'm curious about, you know, you've had some very powerful experiences you've shared with me, starting from when you were young, you know, where you were in a whole different reality, and then something shifted. Would you mind sharing about, you know, how that started happening for you? This is a very inspiring story for me.
Okay. Well, I was born to Holocaust survivors, people who went through World War II, you know, in the German part and the Russian part of where Jews were quite literally heinously treated in every kind of way possible, very much like, you know, other minorities now. But at that time, you know, they were tortured. They were gone through every kind of negative experience a human being can perpetrate on another human being. My mother was raped many, many times. My father had been shot in the leg for no reason, and he never healed right. The hospital that he was in never set his bone correctly, so his femur was quite bowed. And you know, he walked okay, but his foot wasn't shaped correctly. So you know, and when World War II was over, they came to this country with nothing but 2 kids and the clothes on their back and no skills, no marketable skills. Prior to World War II, my father had been studying to be a rabbi, and my mother was just a seamstress who had lived in a family of 6 kids that had no father. And so everybody had to contribute to the well-being, otherwise the family would collapse. So, they lived under constant pressure. They lived on, and when World War II came, they lived under threat of constant survival. And so I grew up in a house where, not only those things were prevalent, I grew up in a house where, my father and mother were really not a match for each other. And so there was constant fighting. And I was quite unhappy as a child. I was very, uh, in the midst, most children are happy till about the age of 5 or 7, and they can take most anything. They're very resilient because they're so close to source. Um, but I was quite damaged. And at one point in an afternoon, I was sitting in my mother's kitchen somewhere around the mid 1950s. I don't know if I was 4 or 5 or whatever it was in that area. But my father, who was sort of a depressed, soft, gentle, soft-spoken guy, for the first time, and I've never seen it before or since, lost it with my mother. And he got violent with her, grabbed her by the neck and put her up against the wall. And he never did that before or after that in my life that I was anywhere aware of. But at that particular moment, I had a humongous resistant experience in me that shut out everything. And I said, if this is life, if this is anything that I'm going to go through, I don't want any part of it. I just want out. I don't want to know. I don't want to see. I don't want to have anything happen. And at that moment, I retreated into autism. I retreated into a place where I was silent and unaware of everything. I was in a complete state of darkness. It was very hellish. And I went through 23 years of hardly having a conversation with anybody. I think the most conversation I ever had outside of just a school kind of reiteration of some information was basically, how much do I have to pay here and what do I have to do here in order to survive? But other than that, I was not talkative. I was a shy kid, never chosen for sports, never any friends, none of that stuff, just in a space of total retraction. In the autistic state that I was in, and most autistic people can't articulate this, they don't even have a clue. And even when they come out of it, it's still nebulous for a lot, but I spent a lot of time thinking about it. I felt like I was in parallel universes. I was getting stimulation from multiple sources simultaneously, and I was unable to focus on anything during that autistic state. So I was completely, discombobulated and just running all of my life on rote. There was my auditory sense was like listening to a bad cell phone. It was like every third word, and I was trying to piece together what people were saying. I was only able to hear about every third word. My vision was like there was film across my eyes, and it was constantly moving back and forth. My body was what Eckhart Tolle calls a pain body, and whenever anybody came close to me within 6 or 7 feet of my aura, basically I would experience stabbing pains in my ribs. So I couldn't hug anybody. I was very, very unwelcoming to any kind of touch. And anything that was animated, that was alive, gave me pain, as opposed to, being joyous and interactive. I was completely resistant to everything. My whole mind kept saying no to everything that came up. And so there was a great deal of pain, and it was very hellish. So I was sitting in, fast forward about 23 years later, I'm sitting in my apartment in Cleveland, Ohio. And at that time, I was studying art, or I was trying to study art, because the purpose of my studying art was trying to become visual so I would understand what was going on around me. That was the reason why I wanted to study art. And so I was drawing in my apartment in some overstuffed chair that I was sitting in. And then without warning, my consciousness was suddenly yanked out of my body, and I had a big bang experience, a big bang explosive experience. It was a great light show, colors coming at me, patterns coming at me. I felt like I was moving at the velocity of the speed of light. I was watching planets birth and die. I was watching suns explode. I was watching the galaxy spin. I had a perspective where I could see galaxies. It was like everything was happening all at once. It was sort of like a bigger ayahuasca for experience for me anyway. And I had no idea. And in the background, I heard very
This came out all out of the blue. You were just, it
all
was,
out of the blue, totally sudden. It was a satori, sudden
yes.
experience. So, and there was nothing that I could latch onto because I was in this incredible moving space. The velocity and the movement was incredible, and it was just I was just racing past all these things beyond the ability to comprehend what was hardly what I was seeing, except that it was so magical and incredible. So it was like jumping onto a moving train from a standing platform. The energy came in, and it was holy shit, just trying to hold on for dear life for a while. And so so I was in that experience. I have no idea. It could have been 2 minutes, could have been 20 hours. I have no idea. So I was just in that experience. And when I came back into my body, I came back in with a thud, just like that. And he could hear the thud. But I was no longer autistic in any way. I had complete, yeah, it was like a total spontaneous healing.
Wow.
And yeah, and so, my life was very different. And my senses that I had been so alienated from and disassociated with were not only sharp, but they were clear. I could visually see pulsations. I could see translucently through a lot of things. I could hear conversations 20 yards away. I couldn't hear across a table, the minute before that had happened. And my body was free. I felt weightless, and I felt, oh my God, I'm in the now. I'm in the first area, and I walked around for quite some time, going, "What the hell is this?" And that was the beginning of my life turning into something different, transcending the human experience to a different experience. I mean, everything's still the same, but it wasn't the same. So.
What a blessing, Harrison. What a blessing. And that state of knowingness, that satori, in the Eastern traditions, in the Zen traditions, they talk about that that's a maturing experience. We have these big bang where we can have these big bang experiences, but then there's an aftermath, a settling in, a grounding, a maturation of that. How did that progress, and how has that led you in your life to what you're up to today?
Well, about 2 years, I was trying to research and find anybody else who had had such an experience. And the very first thing my guides told me when I was in that state, basically, was tell no one of this experience. So that was a clear voice that came through after I had been deposited back in my body. The very first thing that came through in terms of a voice or guides or whatever you want to call the process of that communication, cosmic communication, it said, tell no one of this experience. And for a long time, I was just totally silent about it. I mean, I was totally healed, but I didn't go out, and it was an awakening. You don't have to tell anybody about your awakening. You just be. So I was in that space, and I was researching, trying to find somebody who had similar experiences, reading books. Now, prior to that moment, I didn't have any connection to God. I didn't know God existed, didn't care. I was agnostic, but totally devoid of any sort of religion or spirituality. Nobody had mentored me or guided me or given me wisdom or any of those kinds of things. It just happened. So for whatever reason, it was a moment of grace. So, what I interpret that now as is sort of Navy SEAL training. It's the martial arts of consciousness.
Yes.
And, the reason I went through those 23 years was so that I could be perceptive without, emotional charge on other kinds of experiences that I could help people with. And, my purpose became clearer and clearer as I went. My wisdom stepped forward to the forefront as opposed to what I was trying to do. And my vision became stronger, and who I was just kept, tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, whatever that is that I am, whatever that I am is. So it's just an awareness, and I don't define it. I just keep innovating to
Mm.
the best of my knowledge. So
Wow. Beautiful. Remarkable, Harrison. Thank you for sharing that whole experience. You know, you you've mentored so many people through the years, and one of the ways I got first introduced to you was someone said you have to meet this money master, this man who understands the dynamics of money. And so we got introduced, and as I started chatting with you, I went, okay, money is, yes, that's awesome, but where you were sharing from and the principles were coming from such a deep place. And would you mind sharing your view of money, wealth, and abundance as we stand now in this very unique time? Where is the value importance of all of that?
well, money is just energy, and it's value that you give, that emanates from you in one form or another, or value that you perceive and that you can help others with. So, money is an illusion, it's just energy. And the real profound way to understand and to experience greater amounts of energy and money is to expand your consciousness into being a vehicle that allows it to pass through you, that kind of energy to pass through you. So the abundance factor is just recognizing what is abundant around you continuously. There's zillions of leaves of grass, there's zillions of leaves on trees, blades of grass, stars, grains of sand, people, trees, animals, even in your short even in your short neighborhood or your short street or whatever. There's so much abundance, it's beyond comprehension. So, if you focus on what you lack, you're not going to in any way, shape, or form experience the abundance of all that. But if you focus on the fact that, oh my God, this is all me, rather than, I'm not. And here's what I want to change in consciousness. One of the great things I want to change is that, I'm not a speck in this world. This world is a speck inside of me. So, when we start to move things around like that, and we start to look at things, and we begin to think that, not think, we begin to know that the world is us, that we are the world and the world is us, and everything that we see is some part of us. So if we're seeing every kind of abundance, every kind of human being, every kind of experience, every kind of, vision of different things, whether it be imaginative or whether it be, in the now, or whether it be something that somebody constructs, it's all some form of you coming back to you as a reflection. So the world is a reflection of what's going on in you. And I know all of your people know this by nature, but I don't want to be somebody who lives in the world. I want to be somebody who has an impact on the world, as most of us do. The world is going that we can, and I want everybody to know they can impact the world. They can influence the world because they are part of the bigger picture. So, I don't want to define what is going on. I want to innovate about whatever is transpiring in front of me. I don't want to emulate anybody else's life. I don't want to be a part of anybody's Me Too things. I don't want to be the same. I don't want anybody else to be. I want to recognize the fact. Now, we're all interconnected, no question about it, but we all have our own individual universes. And I enjoy that so much. I enjoy discovering other people's universes. It's just such a trip.
That's what I really love about you is your joy, not in your teachings and sharings alone, but in your joy in the interaction of all those people that you connect with. Every interaction I've had, when we've had meetings with others, there's a spark and a vibrancy and an aliveness that you bring that's timeless. And I really want to honor that. I love that about you. The other thing that I've noticed with you is that you have a very powerful way of awakening and drawing out the leader, the best leadership capacity in individuals. And I wanted to ask you, this is our form of warrior sages. And as warrior sages, what combines or what brings us together is we know we have a calling to make a bigger, stronger, more wider reach, stronger impact on this planet. And so I'd love to ask you and to share to the warrior sages here who are feeling, there's something here for me to live more fully. how can they activate that, live that, step up, make bigger difference?
Well, there are two areas for me that I think makes a much bigger difference for in everything that we do. We have to come from a place of newness where everything is brand new. So when we're in there, I think Melman said in his book Peaceful Warrior, there are no ordinary moments, right? So that's an incredible statement and a quote that I absolutely love. So there are no ordinary moments. So the thing about both wealth and leadership is that they follow a particular kind of set of principles. It follows principle. And the basic principle in growing wealth is also one of the best principles in following leadership and becoming a leader. So the principles of creating wealth starts first with self-love. The more you love yourself, the more effective you are. What is self-love? Self-love is self-acceptance, it is self-respect, and then being good at something, developing something that you're really good at. So those are the three elements of self-esteem, self-love, self-actualization. From that point on, then you create a vision, right? So the vision is how many people can I affect in a positive way? What is a vision that's big enough for vast numbers of others that I can help perpetrate in some way? So the vision is a really big part of it, and every great innovator on the planet has a big vision for everything. So they don't, we've been trained individually from all of society to think small, think of ourselves as this little speck in something that's happening out here. That's all bullshit. So the bigger the vision, the more people come out of the woodwork to help you. And I don't care how crazy it is, the bigger the vision is, you're going to get support with a big vision. Nobody, if you go to somebody and say, hey, I need some help to put my kid through college, they're going to say, I got my own kid, deal with yourself. But if you say, I want to change the world by creating new buildings that will keep our children safe from, massive traffic, people are going to reach in their pocket and they're going to help you. They're going to create wealth. You have to have a vision. So if you have a big enough vision for a country, or you have a big enough vision for a city, or if you have a big enough vision for the cosmos, people are going to help you. You're going to get support. So you're going to become a leader through your vision. That's one of the ways you become a leader. And great leaders are all visionaries. They have other qualities too, but they're great visionaries usually. The third part of that is that you have to have a sense of destiny. Now, my experience with my white light, if you want to call it that situation, is that I know from that experience that I have something unique to give to the world, that it doesn't matter what that is. And anybody who has an idea or understanding that they have something unique to them, that they're the only ones on the planet that can give this like you do. I mean, I love your uniqueness. It's so prevalent. I can't even tell you. When you have a sense that every man has a sense of destiny, everything in the universe is going somewhere. Nothing is static. An apple, when you bite into it, goes into your system and becomes a part of human. A human being goes into the system when it dies and becomes something else, whatever it happens to be. A rock becomes something else. Water becomes something else. Everybody's going somewhere and everything is going somewhere. So the uniqueness is, where are you going? Sometimes you can choose that, sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's just okay to let it happen, which is a beautiful spiritual principle as well. That's the Tao, but with a little bit of adjustment. I love adjusting the Tao. I'm not smarter than Lao Tzu, but I love the Tao. But I want some amendments made. So those three principles have gigantic influence for making money. They also have gigantic influence for being a leader. Now, a leader is also somebody who wants to take people on a journey of heroism in some way, shape, or form, and to elevate them into their own heroic experience. And, I have taught the hero's journey to many, many people and have made gigantic changes in their personalities and their lives by just understanding the hero's journey. So the hero's journey is always the same. Herman Hesse wrote about it. Joseph Campbell wrote about it. But many, many, many authors have wrote about it. The Buddha went through it. Everybody. of massive influence on this planet has gone through it. You know, you start out by leaving home. You are disassociated and dissatisfied and totally disillusioned about something in your life or your life totally. And you don't have to physically leave home, but you have to come to the place of total, you know, disassociation to start out with if you want to be a hero. And not everybody has to do this. Some people come up when through inspiration from the time they're children, but most people that are living in the world of societal experience, you know, have to do this if they want to become a hero. So they have to accept and acknowledge that they are disassociated from what is around them. They're not satisfied. So they begin to know who they're not as opposed to who they are. And they dive into this process. And the moment you start to disassociate from everything around you, you are given adversity, because nothing that happens has no has an acceptance experience for you. So you're given this massive amounts of adversity. And the reason you have the adversity is so that you can develop competence at something that matters to you. You know, so that's the only reason we have any diversity, is that we are being trained to develop a competence at something. So
I love that.
Yeah. And so it's a divergent experience, and it keeps your focus. And you know what you do in martial arts, I love what you do in martial arts, which is to keep yourself focused under chaos and stress. And that is a form of love. You know, that is a great form of love, because the man who is focused under stress is the man who can, you know, perpetrate love for everybody else and make a difference. So it creates a focus. And then what happens is, once you become that competence, then the world begins to open up to you again. You can use that competence, and then you come into this space of acceptance of what the world is and that your place in it. And so suddenly the world gives you everything back. So the leader is the one who has gone through this journey of adversity, who has gone into a place where he has been dissatisfied and wants to make a difference, become competent in something to help elevate other people into a place of world acceptance, their world. It doesn't have to be the world, but it can be their world, whatever the case may be. And as we come into our vision, for the world, as we come into our connection with other people in that sense, what we do is we give them space to elevate, and we give them space to be their own heroes. And as they become their own heroes, they become leaders to others, because no one who is liberated does not liberate other people. It's an impossibility just by the being of yourself. And so, you know, that's a lot of the ways that we train leaders as well. And, you know, I know that, you know, you do it through a process of self-actualization, self-realization, and Satori and Kensho, and a number of other different things. And that's something that I absolutely have a super heart connection to, that I love. And, you know, I love the moment of transformation. I love the moment of sudden enlightenment. I love the moment of going soft in the eyes and soft in the body, and to saying, aha, yes, this is it. This is it. Finally. So that's what I love about this world, and that's what I've been, you know, come to this planet for. So there's only two reasons why I think any of us come to this planet. All of us come to this planet for the same two reasons: joy and expansion. We get to choose how we do that, but, you know, that's our free will. But those are the reasons we're here. So, you know, if you can't express your joy, you're going to suffer. You know, if you can't grow, you're going to be fixed into something that, you know, gets bowled over sooner or later by forces greater than yourself. So
this is so potent. What you're sharing is so potent to awaken the leader, to take us to the next dimension. Harrison, what have you been feeling in your soul, in your core, that we all need right now during this time? You know, what's your message for us at this time right now?
I want to create a new value system. I don't want humanity to be as it has been for all these years. uh, thousands of years. I want to create a new uniqueness. We are in the process, even though we're in this isolation and COVID, which is the most popular conversation on the planet, even though it's unpopular, but it's the most popular. But we're in the midst of great technology. AI is coming on, 5G is coming on. Those are places where the human spirit is going to connect with the machine spirit. And we are becoming part machine, and you can tell that simply by the fact that most of us are spending enormous amounts of time on our phones and on our screens, and so we are just extension. So what I want to see for humanity and for other people is to extend the humanness, this extension of humanity, uh, as far as we can, and whether it be through AI or 5G or whatever the case is. And I know there's dangers to all that, and I think that mankind has been able to solve any kind of problems that it's ever been faced with, so it has a momentum in that direction. But as we come into greater awareness, the greater awareness is everything becomes an extension of us. The greatest awareness is that everything is an extension of us. And I think that is the space that I would love to see humanity evolve into. And evolution is the whole process of becoming more aware. So, as far as I'm concerned, and living limitless lives, living lives that where we are not uh, um, subject to forces around us, but we are creators of those forces around us and creators of our responses to those forces. So I want to create a new culture. I want to create a world where everybody is an extension of everybody else and knows it. I think 30 years from now, 50 years from now, every school child will have this conversation that we're having now as naturally as we talk about, dinners and movies and everything else. So, and that's my vision for the world. I want to take us 10 years ahead at leaps of 10 years ahead at a time so that we can see where we're going without having to be
Yes.
crushed by something overwhelming, and yet still know that it's a significant experience with ourselves and with other people, whatever that experience happens to be that we choose to play for the role of who we are. We come here, we're just playful by nature, and I believe playfulness is the foundation of most everything, because if you want to emulate anything, emulate the universe. and the universe is something that's not going anywhere. It doesn't have any ambition. It's just expanding, and it's not trying to achieve anything. So what does something that doesn't try to achieve anything do? Well, it plays. It's here for its own amusement, right? So that's what it does. It amuses itself, and it amuses us. It amuses itself by taking on different roles. By taking on one lifetime you're an engineer, next lifetime you're on Mars, and another lifetime you're a beggar, and another lifetime you're a world leader. So what does the universe do? It plays. It just plays different things, and that's the fun of being, the knowledge of being playful is the fun that you and the universe are together. You're harmonious with that thing. So it's like music. It's like dance. It's like all the things that make our lives wonderful. I know my life is great because I play with the people I love. So
This has been absolutely remarkable. Harrison, your joy of life, this fun, delightful, playful nature has made a big difference for me since I've known you, because my tendency is to be a little bit more serious and stoic from my martial art nature. But you've been really, I want you to know, you might not realize this, but you've been instrumental in helping me tap into more of the playfulness, lightness of being. And so very grateful for your transmission and your expression and demonstration of that.
I will tell you that there are not words to express how much influence you've had on me, Satyen. I am totally in adoration of who you are and everything about you. So, I feel you from 4,000 miles away. I really do. And, at some point, almost every day, I want to have some connection. So, and I,
We
and I
have that. We have that. We have that magic dance.
Yeah.
Before we complete today, any last shares for our Warrior Sage friends and family?
Absolutely. Let's create a new operating system for human beings.
Oh,
So, part of what we're doing with the AI and the 5G and the knowledge of this introspection is we're creating a new operating system. So if we are aware that we're creating a new operating system, we can sculpt it the way we want. And, create humanity as something that is an extension not only of each other and ourselves, but something that is an extension of the universe and cosmos in a way that takes the light of human consciousness everywhere, you know, and it's a beautiful thing. So, yes.
Harrison, how can our friends find out about your work and what you're up to?
Well, I'm having a party this weekend. I guess one of my branding sites is I am Harrison Klein International.com. I am Harrison Klein, not the letters I am, but I am Harrison Klein, spelled HARRISONKLEIN, international.com. That's a branding site, and that has on it a number of my products, a number of my experiences, bios, and testimonials from people that I have helped both mentor and worked with in lots of different ways. And at a point, probably about 6 years ago or so, I was still doing live events. And I haven't done live event for about 6 years, but at one point I was doing a live event every year and was doing some really great stuff. I had 400 people at every event. We were having lots of fun. It was a very good thing. I happen to have had, unfortunately, or fortunately, because it was another wake up call. Basically, I happened to have a heart condition and I had to have bypass surgery. But that had great meaning for me because during the time that I was on the table, I had a near-death experience. Plus, my soul had risen out of my body, and I was actually in the tunnel of light. I was communicating with beings, and so um, that particular experience showed me what my commitment to Marbeth was and what my commitment to doing what I do is in a much deeper, broader sense. And I knew without a doubt that my desire and need and vision and process and operations and issues all had to be about this new beingness. So, I think we need a revolution in education. I think we need a revolution in values. I think we need a revolution in traction as human beings. I think we need a revolution in issues. I think we need a revolution in a lot of these ways. And I'm committed to helping those revolutions happen. They're all peaceful revolutions and resolutions. And anybody who wants to join me in any kind of, experience of spreading that message and those paradigms in any way, shape, or form, they can reach me through the I am Harrison Klein International.com site. And I would be available to anybody. I would also give the Warrior Sages, if they'd like, I would give them a free gift just for me being here. And you can get that simply by going to my email address, which is proabundance@gmail.com. Pro being like PROABUNDANC, like professional abundance, or for abundance.com. And I would, I'm not even going to tell you what the gift is, but it'll be valuable. So if you guys want a gift and you're listening to this, go to Pro Abundance and just in the subject line and write gift, and I will send you something. I promise that we'll have a great time. And if you guys want to interact with me personally, I would joyously love that. I was just watching a video by Maya Angelou,
yes.
and she did a very famous poem called "Still I Rise," which I absolutely love. And it's about, I've been through this. You can hurt me with your lies, with your deceit, with your anger, with your frustration, and still I rise. You can do this to me, you can do that, and still I rise. Well, that is the story of all humanity. And she says at the end, I am the hope of the slave, of anyone who's ever been enslaved, and so are we. many of us are stuck. Many of us feel stuck. Many of us feel confined and constricted. And I know you open people up because you've opened me up dramatically, and you've opened up a lot of people that I know. And so, we are in the Still I Rise. Arise together is your tagline, and I love that. And for us to also implement this revolution in education, our Excelsior program is an idea that we haven't yet made happen, but it is happening. So yeah. So we are training world leaders, a world leadership training academy. And so life is good. Life is wonderful. And I'm enjoying it. I like to ride horses. I like to be with animals. I like to be with people. I like to have fun. I like to have joy. So we're in a good place, and we don't need to be serious about everything. We are serious when we want to focus on something that absolutely needs to be done for us. But part of the reason that you're alive is to just enjoy it. No purpose to that, just enjoyment. The universe plays, we play, I play. So you play, I play, we play. I guess we all play.
Harrison, I'm so grateful for your love, your joy, your transmission, your life experience. I'm looking forward to sharing you more with our Warrior Sage community. Friends, thanks so much all for being here today. This is Pac. Listen to it again, receive the transmission, and take this leadership, inspiration, and energy into the world, and let's rise together. Thank you so much, Elder. Love you so much.
Love you, brother. Great.